Hey you guys, it's your girl Dosh coming back to you from Real Takes. Today I'll be doing a review to Siren, Season 1, Episode 3. It's called Interview with the Mermaid. Before I begin, as you all know, I recapped the pilot and the second episode, which was called The Lure. And it was a good, first two episodes. I enjoyed us being introduced to Ren, having to deal with the situation that her sister was taken, aboard a ship. And then, of course, what's the word, confiscated by the military and is being basically used as the test subject for them to get, DNA, whatever, for whatever type of, scenario that we have. We don't know the full story yet, but over the next, couple of episodes, I think this is 10 episodes in total, we'll get to see what's really going on. They'll get to more of the meat of the story. So, of course, she comes across, like I said before, Ben, and then, she meets, his girlfriend Maddie, and then of course he's trying to help her figure out what's going on, whichever. Of course he runs into some issues with Xander and Curtis because one of their friends was lifted who got hurt when they took Ren's sister. So with that, comes all these other, stories of, okay, what's happening to Chris? Why did they take Chris? Why did they take our, what we caught, which they know clearly must be a mermaid, or the guys have an idea, they just won't say it out loud, but they did when they were talking to Ben during one of their, hanging out sessions, and he didn't want to believe it until he basically saw it with his own eyes. She literally almost killed him because I'm assuming underwater she's considered a prey, but she's starting to open up. Then of course we were introduced to Helen Hawkins, the town person where a lot of people think is kind of nuts, but she knows a lot more, and she had to reiterate that to Ben's character about his ancestors doing the things that they did, the deaths of all these mermaids and the genocide and the things that happened at that time. So like I stated, the first two episodes were good. You get to see Ren learning. She's a fast learner in words and mannerisms and is figuring out people, whichever. She did have an episode where the guy tried to take advantage, but of course that led to the death. Now Maddie's father's involved, and it's going to get a little more interesting of them trying to keep her under wraps. So with that said, let me go ahead and just jump into this episode. So of course it shows, at the end of the second episode, she went out at night, Helen was sleeping, and of course she asked her where was she at. So from there, she's not really telling her, she's a little bright little cookie, she's smart. And of course Ben and Maddie are somewhere else, and they're like, okay, let's get over there, let's go see if they were sleeping and all that and everything. And of course they're trying to explain to Helen that we need to learn more about her. We need to understand her, what is she doing? Of course we'll help her, because of course, Ren's like, okay, well, if I do this, then you'll help me find my sister. She's like, I will do. So yeah, she's learning a lot more words than she did in the first couple episodes. She's a very quick learner in words. I don't know if she's watching TV or something, because they show her watching a little bit of Kermit the Frog. So I thought that was rather funny. So Helen told them, you need to find her sister and get her and her sister back in the water before it's too late. I don't know what that means per se. She's leaving certain things out. They said, but whatever you do, she's like, do not leave her alone. So of course they take her to Maddie's place of business, and they do these tests. They weigh her. He tries to test to her, her reflexes, which didn't turn out all that great. He tried to check her, heart on her, her arm, pressure from her arm. She didn't like that. It was just a cute little scene that they did, and just recording all while this is going on. Maddie's recording, and it's mostly Ben doing all the work. So from there, she's like, you said you'll help me, whichever. They get a call from Xander, because between these parts, they show Xander and Calvin still trying to figure out, because they received a text from their friend Chris. He's like SOS. And I'm trying to figure out where the nurse could have left her phone at, whatever. I don't know if he was able to get it out of her pocket, because in the scene from season of the episode 2, he did eye her phone in her back pocket. So there was a prior way he was able to do that. It's a possibility. They decide to verify the number, verify the location, to see who it is. And of course they see it's this female. She looks like she's in woman nurse garb. So they decide to wait. Calvin of course wants to jump the gun, but Xander's like, use your head. We can't go up to her. She won't tell us anything. We might scare her off with her. No, we want to follow her and see where she goes. So eventually a couple hours pass. They follow her up to what looks like, of course, some sort of facility, and then she has to be buzzed in. It's got military man outside the gate. They wanted to eventually come up Xander more so than Calvin. When they saw those other military guys come out with rifles, they decided it's time to go. But now they know where Chris possibly could be, and they're basically correct. I mean, Calvin not so, but Xander's like, okay, he must be in there, because if he had her phone, it's like, it's one and one, is equal to it. He's got to be in there. So they're gonna go with that whole saying, whatever, we need to get a hold of her and make her talk. And that's what happens. They get back to their area, and Calvin's like, we need to make her talk the next time we see her. So of course it shows a scene of her, checking the subjects and all this everything and all, and she's kind of looking at him, and he's just playing along, eyes are closed, whatever. You don't ever see him open his eyes in this particular instance in this scene, but I think that he's well enough of what he needs to do to play that little decoy where she doesn't know, because she'll try to drug him, because the last time he was like, where am I, where am I at, and she drugged him up and he was out again. So I think he knows, I need to find a way to get out of here. So needless to say, for that part, that's kind of what happened with the other characters for the show. You didn't see too much, but you did get to get more of an understanding of Ben's family. His brother's working on a certain type project where he wants to involve his brother, and he wants to go see him. He does run into him. He's like, I really don't want part. He's like, why are you alienating yourself? You're over here, and the family's over here. What happened to us? Because we used to be like this. We were like a team. And he does feel this way about his brother, but when it comes to that, he knows his brother works with his father, and he's trying to distance himself. So it's almost like, he's truly rebelling. His mother tried to say, after what she's been through, and hopefully we'll learn more about the situation, what happened with her accident, or how she's in a wheelchair, for her to make some of these comments that she's made to her son, to kind of bring a little bit of a guilt, where he might budge enough that he'll open up, because of course he says, if you tell me these things about the ancestors and things from the past that Miss Hawkins was talking about, then I'll, invest some time. So eventually he's going to have to come do with that, because he said it to his dad. He's kind of told his mother he'll, make an effort, and now his brother's trying to bring him into the fold. So the family's trying to find a way to get him into their everyday dynamic or whichever. So we'll have to see how that pans out. But I like the scene where it shows Ren and of course Maddie and Ben at her place, and then the guy shows up to do some work that she was going to take care of, to kind of use it as a way to get him to leave, but he stays, he does the work. And of course they're deciding to hide the evidence of the video that they taped of everything from that session they had with Ren. Then she's off talking to him, and he's like, I'm having a party, you want to go? And she's like, I'll go. She leaves right then and there. The woman told her to keep her close. They didn't listen. I hate that, because that's so cliche, but it does happen. And I'm just like, why does she have to be in the room with Ben making a call to check on what Xander and them found out about the nurse? You could have been watching her. It's like, you didn't have to be in there listening. He could have told you later, but it is what it is. So of course they end up seeing, at first they're looking for her. They don't realize she's with him, but then eventually their friend texts them to show them, yeah, we're having fun. I'm at this thing. And he takes a picture of a selfie of him and Ren. And let's just say she's kind of blending in. She's drinking that beer like nothing. And then you see, parts where everybody's kind of getting excited, more riled up. By the time they get to the actual party to get her, it's almost later, because it was earlier, the sun's out, whatever, and all that. So it must be an hour, 2 hours must have passed. So they get there in time. But the thing that I enjoy about this part was, in the midst of that, Maddie's trying to get to her and get to Ren, and she gets pushed into the water. The significance about that part is the fact that when she was in that water, and eventually when she got her up to a hotel room, because her father shows up, because he'd already been talking to witnesses about the death of the man who basically tried to assault Ren. The woman where she grabbed one of her daughter's sweatshirts, whatever, was bloody and all, and found, she says, can you come and do an actual sketch, whatever. And of course the sketch is very revealing. And from there, he decides to go, let me go to this party, because you never know, she might be in the mix of all the people. I could probably find her. So from there, the daughter, Maddie, his daughter, takes her upstairs. He doesn't know, but knows to them that she's aware of, she might have been involved when you saw the pictures from the last episode of what happened to the gentleman who did, not a gentleman, but the guy. So she takes her up there and all that, and they're kind of having a little talk. She wants her to find a way to trust, and she's like, trust is hard. And I like how she's trying to get her words out. They're coming out, and she's like, you're afraid of me. She's like, kind of trying to be honest about it and whatever. And she tries to calm her or whatever. But before Ben comes in, she lets her know, why didn't you change? And she was like, that's not my water. She says, you need ocean water. And I said, I love that, because that is exactly what, I'll be honest with you, when I was watching the episode, I literally gasped, because I thought she was about to change and everybody would have known. But I said, no, they can't really do that too soon like that and give the reveal for other people to know there's mermaids just yet, except the military knowing, because they confiscated her sister. But I liked that that was the premise of why that was, because Maddie's face, when she fell in there, she really thought she was, but then everybody started falling there, so I thought that she might try to turn or change, but they wouldn't be able to tell right away, and then she'd find a way to get them out, whatever, get somebody to disperse. But she had to get her out of there, because her father was looking for her, and he showed a picture of her from the sketch, and of course Ben just played it off, but he found out that they were in a room. He came in there, and they're like, okay, we need to get out of here, let's dry her off, whatever. And from there, the scenes that you see are scenes with her sister. the main gentleman who's actually doing the scenes with her sister, his name is Aldon. He's in charge, but he has somebody he deals with who's his boss, which is Admiral Harrison. He plays the character where he's having him do these type of experiments, and they want to make sure they're working. Some of them aren't, but some are. And I can tell that the mermaid is very smart, because there's some scenes throughout the episode where she starts to look like she's kind of being, they poked and prodded her a little bit, that she's starting to feel drained and tired, because they have her in this one set with this water. You don't know she's becoming tired because she's not in her own, habitat to move amongst the way she wants. And from there, it just shows her kind of just laying there. She looks like she's not had any movement. Her eyes are closed and all that. And towards the end of the episode, you kind of see that that's all a ploy, because when he turns his back and he's talking, he's saying these things, she turns around, she's wide open. Her eyes are open. She's very aware. I don't know if she can sense or hear some of the things and is kind of catching on to what's going on, because like I said, they are very fast learners on land, because even Ren said it when he said, how do you do most of the other, mermaids here, are there lots? And she was like, there are many. And they were like, how do you feel about land? They're like, land is danger. So that's why a lot of them probably stay away. But you never know if her sister gets out and they find a way to get, more mermaids to show up. So we might get introduced to more over the course of the season, or maybe if it gets picked up for a season 2, then we might get presented to more than just Ren and her sister, whichever. Now, I do like the last part, which I thought was kind of funny. It shows them taking her back to their place, Ben's place, on the boat. And they're sitting, getting her tucked in. She's sleeping on a little bit of the couch that's on the side, and they get in the bed, and they're just kind of looking at each other. Then she gets up, and she stands over both of them, and she decides to climb in the middle, just like a kid would do. Like, Mommy and Daddy, I want to sleep in here. I feel comfortable. And you're just like, okay, we're not going to get us some good rest, because he's in the middle, and we don't want to squish her or him. So that's kind of how it was, because she turns and looks at him, then she turns and looks at Maddie, and then she just turns back to the front and straight centered, and she just closes her eyes and she starts to go to sleep. And they're just like, yeah, we feel like we're dealing with a big kid, and we just can't do what we normally do. She's kind of wondering what's going on, because at first they're sitting there laying in the bed, and I just like how she just kind of assesses the situation, decides, I'm gonna climb in here. So I like that. I'm looking forward to the next episode. I didn't notice anything for a preview for that, so I'm kind of glad, because I didn't really want to know that ahead of time. I'd rather wait till the episode and just kind of be engulfed into it when it happens. But I love the progression of them getting to know a little bit more about understanding Ren. The thing that caught me was her weight. When she got on it and it said 196, and they made a get off thing, it was something, a glitch. They're like, we have to check her density. And I was like, I like that. That was interesting to me. And of course, everything else, whatever, like I said, when they were doing her vitals and checking everything else, I thought was rather, cool to watch and see. But I'm looking forward to them letting Ben know about Chris, the facility, because let's just say when they showed the preview of what's supposed to happen throughout the whole season, it looks like eventually they're going to show up there and they're going to bring Ren, and she's going to probably be the only one to get in there and then help her sister. That will be nice to see. Learning more about what Helen really knows, wherever she's not being all the way honest. I know she knows a lot more than she's telling. She seems to know a certain way of talking to her too, that she doesn't talk to her with them around. I want to know about her and her history with the people. That's why people treat her the way she does. I hope they show flashbacks of her, because I'm very intrigued by her as well. Besides that, that's basically it. I want to, know if with the situation, like I said, with the mother as well. I want to know more about what happened to her while she's in the wheelchair. How does that play a part? Moving forward with the family, not just being all about the business dynamic. Because we all can clearly tell the father is doing his thing, and the mother makes these little snide comments about, your girlfriend must be letting you out. So I know there's something else going on there. So that'll be interesting as well. Plus, I want to see what Maddie's father does about trying to search for her, because she can only hide her for so long, whatever, and all that, or they're going to have to find somebody else who's going to probably get wind of it and know that she's helping her, and then he'll probably end up figuring out whichever, him being that good old cop detective type of mentality. So, but with that said, you guys, it was a good overall episode. I'm looking forward to episode 4. And with that said, comment you guys below. Let me know what you guys think. If you all are watching the show, how are you enjoying it as well? What did you think of this episode? And I will see you guys on the next review. Talk to you then.